Beneath the sands of Egypt lies a place you're not allowed to see, a vast, ancient stone pit cut with impossible precision. But mysteriously, this site has been closed off since the 1960s, with the Egyptian military not letting anybody in. Some say it's an unfinished pyramid, others say it was never meant to be a tomb at all. But whatever happened here, it's one of the most mysterious sites in all of the ancient world. Hi guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Michael. I have a degree in ancient history, and on this channel, we discuss the unexplainable mysteries of our past. Let's get into it.
Tucked away in the desert lies Zawyet el-Aryan, an archaeological site so shrouded in secrecy that it's often dubbed Egypt's Area 51. Geographically, it sits just a few miles south of the Great Pyramids of Giza, yet despite this prime location, it remains largely unknown to the public. This is primarily because the Egyptian military cordoned off the area in 1964, and no excavations or public access have been allowed since. Today, the area is overbuilt with military facilities, leaving the ancient structures locked away and effectively frozen in time.
It's one of the strangest and least understood monuments in all of Egypt. A colossal pit carved into solid bedrock, a granite sarcophagus the size of a car, and a mystery that's been sealed off from the world for more than half a century. This is Zawyet el-Aryan, Egypt's forbidden archaeological site.
The story begins in 1900, when Italian archaeologist Alessandro Barsanti wandered across this plateau. The sands were scattered with chunks of granite, odd since no granite quarries existed nearby. Following the debris, he found a massive rectangular depression and what looked like the foundations of a pyramid. Barsanti started digging and uncovered something that defied everything he expected to find in Old Kingdom Egypt. A huge, unfinished subterranean complex with walls cut into the bedrock and an enormous ramp descending into the earth. For years, Barsanti worked the site, documenting the pit's astonishing architecture, until disaster struck. The First World War broke out, scorching Europe and the Middle East, halting the excavations.
However, what Barsanti didn't know at the time was that these excavations would never restart, making him the only person to ever properly excavate the site.
Other Egyptologists, like JRayZimmer and Clarence Fisher, did visit and reported on the finds, while Italian scholars Maragioglio and Rinaldi also conducted a limited survey in the 1960s. However, by 1964, the military sealed off the zone, halting all research. Zawyet el-Aryan effectively vanished from the public view, its half-excavated secrets literally gathering dust. Today, information on the site is scarce. It's often omitted or given only a passing mention in literature, precisely because so few have seen it and no new data can be obtained. All of this makes the site one of Egypt's most tantalizing lost treasures, known about for over a century yet largely inaccessible and unknown.
So what we know comes almost entirely from Barsanti's century-old notes and collection of photos. And from this we can try to piece together a picture of this mysterious site.
Zawyet el-Aryan is thought to actually contain two complexes, one called the Layer Pyramid, likely from the 3rd dynasty, and another, far more enigmatic structure known as the Unfinished or Northern Pyramid. The Layer Pyramid, a step design attributed to King Khaba, resembles Djoser's early experiments at Saqqara, but it's the second site, the Northern Pyramid, that holds the real mystery. At first glance, there isn't much to see, just the squared-off foundations of what should have been another pyramid. But below the surface lies what Barsanti described as a great pit, a T-shaped shaft plunging 20 meters into the limestone, its walls smoothed and plastered, its floor paved with blocks so massive they weigh up to 30 tons each. A steep stair ramp descends along the northern side, ending in a small chamber beneath where the pyramid's center supposedly would have stood. And inside that chamber lies the site's most baffling feature, an oval pink granite basin carved from a single rock, perfectly polished, sealed with a fitted lid, and far too large to have been lowered through the passageway. It had to have been placed there during construction, with the chamber built around it. But when Barsanti opened it, he found it empty, but sealed tight, as if guarding something long since removed. Egyptologists later proposed the site was meant to be a royal tomb. However, the lack of inscriptions leaves this uncertain. Red ink graffiti on the walls show traces of a royal cartouche, but the signs are too damaged to confirm.
The mainstream view is therefore pragmatic. The builders died before it could be finished, construction stopped, and the project was abandoned. The granite tank was to be the sarcophagus, the pit, the substructure of a pyramid that never rose above the sand. But even the experts admit that something about this doesn't quite fit.
Enter Keith Hamilton, an independent researcher who re-examined Barsanti's drawings, photos, and measurements in detail. His study, The Great Pit of Zawyet el-Aryan, A Layman's Guide, offers one of the most rigorous modern interpretations of what this structure might actually have been. Hamilton points out that the layout is unlike any known pyramid tomb. The chamber sits directly beneath the open sky, with no evidence of the long descending corridors typical of Egyptian royal burials. The floor blocks were interlocked with precision rarely seen even at Giza, alternating granite and limestone in an intentional pattern that looks engineered to bear immense weight or pressure.
He also noticed something curious. The granite tank isn't centered like a coffin would be. Instead, it's offset and partly sunk into the floor, with channels carved nearby that once could have carried liquids. To Hamilton, this hints that the structure might not have been used for burial at all, but part of a larger mechanical or hydraulic system, possibly involving water. If true, then calling it the unfinished pyramid may be misleading. Perhaps it was finished for its intended purpose, just not the one we assume.
Whatever its function, however, the craftsmanship is extraordinary. The builders achieved tight tolerances and right angles through tens of meters of solid bedrock, without copper tools strong enough to easily cut granite. The oval tank's surface was so smooth that Egypt's director of antiquities at the time described it, saying, quote, "Nowhere is the power and mastery of the old Egyptian architects so suddenly and strongly obvious as here." And yet, after all that precision, the project simply stops. The ramp ends abruptly. The walls rise halfway as if the workers vanished overnight. There are no burial goods, no mummies, no signs of reuse, no signs of burial at all. Only silence and mystery.
So, what happened? Well, if the traditional interpretation is right, then the answer is simple. As I said, the builders died young. The Turin king list records several short-lived rulers between Khufu and Khafre. A sudden death could have left the monument incomplete. But Hamilton's reading suggests something far more deliberate.
He proposes that the Great Pit may have been a testing ground, a place where early 4th dynasty architects experimented with new ways of handling weight, pressure, or water, where different stone densities were combined to distribute stress. Perhaps the builders here were testing structural principles for the great projects that followed. It could have also doubled as a ceremonial platform, where rituals connected to kinship or rebirth took place. The open shaft facing the sky would allow sunlight or starlight to penetrate directly to the granite vessel below, a symbolic union between heaven and earth. The very name inscribed on the wall, Saber Ka, Star of Ka, might echo this concept.
In that light, the site becomes something far more profound. Not an abandoned failure, but a bridge between two worlds, spiritual and architectural. But of course, none of this can be confirmed, because as we're about to find out, no one can enter, as the site has been sealed by the Egyptian military. Now, I do a lot of research on the topics I cover on the channel, and when I'm working remotely or using public Wi-Fi, it can feel like I'm exposing myself to hackers and other bad entities on the internet. So to ensure that I'm safe, I use today's sponsor, NordVPN. When I connect my laptop to public Wi-Fi, it feels like I'm inviting hackers, but with NordVPN, just one tap means I encrypt my traffic and hide my IP, so I look like I'm browsing from a safe, private spot. But that's not all. They've got this feature called Threat Protection Pro, which stops phishing sites, fake shops, malware-hosted downloads, all the sneaky stuff that regular VPNs often ignore, that can slow down your devices and potentially leak your information online. And if you're streaming while traveling, NordVPN gives you access across devices, up to 10 on one account, and dedicated apps for all major platforms. Plus, you're covered by the 30-day guarantee. Test it, see how it works for you, risk-free. Right now, you can grab NordVPN via my link and get 4 extra months free. So tap the link in the description or go to nordvpn.com/Michael Button. Grab this exclusive offer now for total peace of mind online. Thanks again to NordVPN for sponsoring. Now let's get back to the video.
Since the 1960s, Zawyet el-Aryan has been under military control. Satellite images show the faint outlines of the pits and ramps, now surrounded by barracks and fencing. A few old aerial photos reveal the shape of the complex, but no one has been allowed inside to verify its condition. Reports claim that the Great Pit was used as a rubbish dump. Others say it's been filled in for safety. The Egyptian government rarely mentions it. Academic publications refer to it only in passing. In a field where nearly every stone of the Giza plateau has been measured to the millimeter, Zawyet el-Aryan remains an information void, a blank spot on the map.
And that void inevitably breeds speculation.
Some researchers argue the precision of the stonework points to lost technology, or even a pre-dynastic civilization with advanced engineering skills. Others see the military secrecy as evidence of hidden discoveries, perhaps chambers beneath the pit or artifacts too controversial to reveal. There are also intriguing similarities between Zawyet el-Aryan and other mysterious ancient Egyptian structures featuring massive granite installations. The Great Pyramid of Giza contains granite chambers and sarcophagi, while the Serapeum at Saqqara houses enormous granite boxes weighing up to 100 tons each. The Saqqara Pyramid complex also features underground granite installations of unknown purpose. It's a theme of huge granite floor and lid-like structures, suggesting these features may share a common but currently unknown function. On top of this, the T-shaped structure is carved directly into the natural bedrock, with walls that were smoothed but never covered with stones. The chamber at the end of the shaft was never completed, only the floor received finishing work, covered with those massive granite blocks. This raises a fundamental question. Why would the ancient builders transport and install such colossal granite blocks to create a floor where the ground beneath was already naturally limestone?
These questions are interesting, and the fact that no one can check keeps the theories alive. But the symbolism is hard to ignore. A literal forbidden zone where the past is locked away behind modern power. So why does this mystery matter?
Because Zawyet el-Aryan sits on the hinge of one of history's greatest enigmas: how Egypt made an almost impossible leap. Within just a few generations, its builders went from basically the Stone Age to shaping and hauling multi-ton granite with mathematical precision that still baffles engineers today. It's as if, almost overnight, they unlocked a new understanding of geometry, scale, and stone. Zawyet el-Aryan may hold answers to that transformation, a silent witness to the moment when ancient Egypt apparently went supernova.
It also challenges our assumptions about what a pyramid site was. Clearly, not every monument of the early dynasties fits neatly into the orthodox model of Egyptology. Some, like Zawyet el-Aryan, may have served hybrid roles: part tomb, part temple, part cosmic experiment, or part something else. And the lack of inscriptions doesn't mean ignorance, incompleteness, or failure. It might mean secrecy.
Hamilton ends his study with a striking thought. Perhaps the Great Pit was never meant to hold a body, but to embody an idea, an experiment in stone, a place where the Egyptians tested their understanding of earth, water, and sky, the very forces their religion equated with creation itself. If that's true, then the unfinished walls aren't a sign of failure. They're the visible trace of great attempts to master nature through design. Standing there today, if you could stand there, you'd see nothing but desert wind and concrete fences. Beneath your feet, the giant pit still waits in silence, its granite basin empty, its purpose uncertain. The same sunlight that once poured into that open chamber still falls there every day, unseen by human eyes. Perhaps one day, when access is restored, archaeologists will return with new tools and reveal what Barsanti only glimpsed by torchlight. Whether this was truly an abandoned tomb, a temple of the stars, or something even stranger.
Until then, however, Zawyet el-Aryan remains Egypt's forbidden site. A monument not to what we know about the ancient world, but to just how much we don't. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, a comment, or a subscribe down below. I'll see you next time.